not the presenter. I'm just here to do some housekeeping. Please take a seat. Oh, you are already. Bit presumptuous. I hope you're sitting comfortably in a nice chair next to somebody who seems quite nice. If you're not, just move, I would. I can't read this. This is ridiculous. Sit up straight, listen, turn your mobile phones off, and don't do any Mexican waves. We're not at a party. And don't wriggle, please, either. We're not worms. Toilets. Well, we're in a large building. There should be some toilets somewhere. Just follow the signs. It's not hard. Refreshments. You have to pay for them. They're not free, and it's expensive. And if you can't sit for 30 minutes without having a cup of coffee, you're a bit bigger addict than I am. So just wait. So I hope you enjoy the seminar. It's for about 30 minutes. You might pick something up. I don't know what that means. As long as you pick your rubbish up from under your chairs. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Barbara. I'm Wendy, and I'm Wendy Reid. I'm not related to the Reids in any way. I wish I was. They're multimillionaires, and I'm not. Well, I'm doing all right. You know, I've got a pension scheme. It's how you measure success, isn't it? And I'm an award-winning trainer, an actress. I brought some awards to show you. Thank you. I am really proud. I've got quite a few here. You know, they fill up my house. Yeah, I've dabbled in stand-up comedy, just dabbled. And I might go back to it, you know, because my daughter, she started working this week. She's all grown up. She's had 3 jobs in the space of a couple of days. She's at a funny age. There she is. Yesterday, she started work. So, as you can see, I'm highly credible. There we go. So, humour. Humour. It does so many things, doesn't it? It sets the scene. It's there as an icebreaker. It can diffuse unexpected situations, difficult situations. It can make people feel relaxed. And it can certainly liven things up a bit. People that are enjoying themselves learn and listen more. I just want to refer you to this lovely, lovely quote by Victor Berger, whatever his name is, I don't know. It builds bonds, it connects people and builds relationships. Has anyone ever been on the tube and you don't really listen to the announcements? You let them just brush over you until the tube driver dares to do something a little bit different, a little bit cheeky. And all of a sudden, just for a moment, everyone smiles at each other. We feel connected. That's all we're encouraging you to do in training or your presentations, just something a little bit different. And dare to try it. And when I first got asked to do this seminar, my first reaction was, oh God, I've got to write the definitive answer to comedy. And then I thought, no, Wendy, because I suffer from nervousness. Just chill out. Don't worry about it, because stress and nervousness, it blocks creativity, doesn't it? So just embrace your nerves, because it's there to help you. And then I started to think how all great tragedies have moments of comedy. And all great comedies have moments of tragedy. Light and dark and light, and how they need to coexist. And it was all getting a little bit too serious. And I just thought, come on, Wendy, give yourself a break. But it is a good point. If you ever watch Only Fools and Horses, a great comedy, it has moments of sadness. When Uncle Albert dies, we really feel it for him. And I think in training, and when we're making a serious point, it's useful to place humour before or after that serious point, because it certainly works to intensify that point. And I thought, well, this is just getting a bit too serious. So I went to the internet and I thought, I'll Google it. Some do's and don'ts. There's plenty of do's and don'ts on how to use humour. And I got a great one. Use some funny visuals. Funny clips. It's very low risk. There you go. Hamster on a bike. Dog in a frock. Okay, that cat's not wearing any clothes. And we're laughing sort of at his expense. It's probably a fur ball, don't worry. So that kind of works, obviously, with our serious points. So I thought, what next? What next? Jokes. Does anyone know any jokes? I've got one, I'll start. Where might you find a hedgehog with no legs? Where you left him. Anybody else? Do we know any jokes? Come on, jokes. Do we know any? Somebody must have a joke. Because it's difficult, isn't it? Jokes are quite difficult. And it takes months of honing and crafting for stand-up comedians to do jokes. You have to go through a process of trial and error for jokes to work, even the greatest comedian. And a lot of trainers and presenters measure it on their ability to tell jokes. But of course, this isn't about being a stand-up comedian. And we often, as we become adults, we become so goal-orientated, so results-focused, that we forget the experience. We forget to just play. And I believe humour is not about our ability to tell jokes. It's about our ability to play. Because that unlocks creativity, and that's where the ideas come. Anyone in the room ever been a small child? No one? So you're all experts at playing. We've just got a little bit rusty along the way. So, who likes this man? Hands up if you like Ricky Gervais. It tends to divide a room. Because humour's very subjective. Jokes are very subjective. But at least we've got an opinion about him. People tend to have an opinion about him. And I think if you want to set yourself apart, I prefer people to have an opinion about me than none at all, and then just to blend in. So it's not about doing jokes. And my principles are, take yourself less seriously, learn to play, because we can all do that a little bit too much sometimes. Make mistakes and give yourself a break. Dare to take a few risks. Stop trying to be funny and just have fun. Just have fun. Let that creative spirit come out. And be yourself. Because you can't do other people's comedy. You have to be true to yourself. So, just on that note, let's have some fun. Yeah, let's have some fun. I've got some fun cubes under here. Some fun cubes. What I'd like you to do, please, if you could all stand up. We're going to have some fun now. We're going to do some forced frivolity. How about that? So, come on, stand up. Let's play the music, please. Have a go. Come on, have fun. Come on, have some fun. I can see people smiling. Yeah.
I love a party with a happy atmosphere.
That's it.
So let me take you there.
Keep going, keep having fun.
Dancing in the cool night air.
Okay, I think
The dancing party.
brilliant. Thank you so much for having a go at that. I saw a few people smiling, a few people laughing. We actually started to have fun. And of course, sometimes that happens in training. We kind of see a trainer chucking a ball at us. It's like, oh, God, what's she going to do? Don't we? And it works for some and it doesn't work for others. Obviously, we've got to build the rapport before and break the ice at the start of the day. So force frivolity, does it work? Well, you've just proved that it does a little bit. That was supposed to go wrong. You've ruined my seminar, by the way. So we're not doing that. It's boring. I looked at some more do's and don'ts. Do keep it positive. Keep it light-hearted. Because this is about building bonds. And the main sort of don'ts, if I can summarize the don'ts, is don't be nasty, don't be too controversial. Because that's why we don't like, some of us don't like Ricky Gervais. Because he tends to have an extreme attitude behind what he does. So he's taken away those extreme attitudes that sometimes comedians have. And just being light-hearted and learning to play. And one of the main do's I found is telling stories. And you often hear people say they can't tell stories. It's because they're overcomplicating their stories. Stories are very, very simple. You don't, when you go to a friend's house who you haven't seen for ages, you don't say to your friend when she says, "How are you doing? Are you all right?" And you go, "Rubbish." "Oh no, what's the matter?" "Well, sponge cake, neighbour, gusset." "Oh, okay, I'm sorry to hear that." You link words together, you tell stories. It's about connecting people with our humour. We'll say, "Well, I went to, you don't want to hear it, it's just all gone wrong with my neighbour. I took some sponge cake round." You tell stories. It's very simple, it's not complex. We watch hours of TV because we need to connect to something human. So what I'd like you to do now, just for a few seconds, I want you to pair up with somebody. Call yourself A and B. Just call yourself, pair up with someone you don't know. Off you go. Call yourselves A and B, and I just want A's to tell B's something peculiar or funny that happened to you this month. If nothing peculiar or funny happened to you this month, just tell them something bad that happened. I'm sure something bad happened. Off you go. Just tell a partner a story. Okay, and stop. Did anyone have a particularly interesting story that you'd like to share? You, sir. It was a disaster? What happened to you, sir? You all right?
I took it out for a tow, and then, oh, blimey, and then a successful tow to the site, successful tow back until I needed some petrol, so I pulled into the garage.
You didn't put diesel in?
Not a good idea with the caravan on, because if you turn out the garage and mistime it, you tend to take the pump with you. Not funny, but people are laughing.
But people were laughing! How cruel is that? Mean. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So it's easy, isn't it? Telling stories. So, just some tips. You can find humour everywhere in everyday life. Carry a notepad and pen. Jot things down because we are likely to forget when they occur. Take a camera so you can take your own clips and pictures. If your friends have some funny stories that are funnier than yours, pinch them. Why not? Just obviously ask them if that's okay and use those funny stories. Exaggerate ideas as well. I pretended I was stressed a moment ago. I don't suffer from stress like that. So exaggerate the truth. That was just an example. Afterthoughts are very good. With Barbara at the beginning, I started this by playing with afterthoughts. It's what you'd kind of really like to say. And you can really sort of play with it and go off on tangents. So just play. Trust your instinct. Little act-outs work quite nicely. So you can introduce act-outs into your presentations and training, or rehearsed sections that you know work and that you know are relevant to your serious points. And if you find something funny, chances are somebody else will. And as we all know, not everyone's going to buy into you. So what I'd like you all to do now is join me on a little game. We're going to play. What I'd like you to do is everyone looks really worried. Don't worry, it's really not hard. What I want you to do is I want you to all be potential business owners, small business owners. And you've come to see my short presentation within a presentation about potentially sponsoring me. So are we ready? Potential sponsors? Okay. Hello, everyone. Has anyone ever seen a spaceship, touched a proper real spaceship? A space rocket? Anyone ever touched one? And where might we find one? Where might we find a spacecraft? NASA, sir, well done. Thank you for that. And that's in America, isn't it? And the other day I heard Americans complaining because they're having their space budget slashed. Spoilt is what I've got to say, because we don't have one in this country. We don't have one in the UK, particularly not in Doncaster, where I'm from. And this is my company, my idea, Doncaster Space Programme. Because there's nowhere to go for wannabe astronauts like myself. This man, Sir Bobby Moore, inspired me. I watched all the episodes of Sky at Night on repeat. Battlestar Galactica, easy for me to say. Bit like a cancelled Star Wars, but great scripts, all done on a budget, so give them credit. So I went to my careers advisor and I said, I want to be an astronaut. When I was about 15, she was a bit passive-aggressive. She said, Wendy, A, you'd be more suited to working in retail, and B, there's no space programme in Doncaster. So this is where I work for the next 5 years. Thank you. And I'm not as passionate about carpets as I am space travel, let me tell you. And then I went to see a life coach at Doncaster Civic Theatre, and he told me, reach for your dreams, reach for the sky. So I did. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take children off the streets, wannabe astronauts, and I'm going to send them into the sky. So I knew I needed to set up Doncaster Space Programme, and I knew I needed to collect a lot of this, because there's a lot of metal on space gadgets. This is our headquarters. This is the think tank where it all started. And we turned it into an anti-gravitational chamber. We needed a lot of these. We got a deal at Costco. And some friends came round, and off we went. Thank you for that. So, you could be one of our list of potential sponsors. I just want to point out, Hollywood Nails isn't in Hollywood, it's in Doncaster. Roger Tooby and Son Fun Fairs, they've let us use their waltzers for the high-speed flight training. We just need a big guy to give us a good push. So this is really exciting. Elna's Sewing Machines, Masters of Engineering, have agreed, because they want to expand, they want to branch out, they've agreed to build our first spacecraft. How exciting. Look at the Masters of Engineering. So, what do you get out of it? Press coverage, corporate social responsibility, that's spelt with an R, I do apologise. You're ticking all your boxes, and unlimited rides on the waltzers, but only on Wednesday afternoons. And making people's dreams come true. Thank you for listening. What I'd like you to do now, in groups of 3, please, just for the next 3 minutes, is to come up with some great ways, and I'm probably going to be asking you, sir, some great ways of how we can raise money for Doncaster Space Programme. Just for the next 3 minutes, don't worry, I won't ask everyone. Come up with some great ways, some creative ways, just have a bit of fun on how you can raise money for Doncaster Space Programme. Off you go. So who thinks they've got a particularly good one? I have a feeling. Okay, lovely.
So I've got the answer right.
Just to come up with some ideas to raise money for us.
Some ideas to raise money. I can only think of one, and that was what you did with the airport, which was because you seemed slightly embarrassed about your airport being called Doncaster, you rebranded it as Robin Hood, so nobody knew it was in Doncaster. So I wondered whether you should call this a Robin Hood space program.
Do you know what? You can have this, a little trophy, yeah, for that. Because I didn't like Robin Hood. I just, yeah, absolutely.
Not even from Doncaster.
Sorry, mind your head. Any others? Any others? What about you, sir? I think you've got one in the corner. I have a feeling. Do you have one? What about these ladies?
We've got one.
Oh, okay.
We had a Facebook page, advertise on a Facebook page.
Have do it on Facebook.
And other social media. Organize a fun fair.
Organise a fun fair.
Get a PE instructor to show you how.
Sorry, this is great. This is about 5 ideas. Lovely. You're very silly.
To get a PE instructor from a local gym to show how to deal with the lack of gravity.
Ah, so you'll be. So in summary, take some risks. Dare to do something a little bit different. Play around with things. Trial them out. If they fail, who cares? Just give it a go. This is not about being groundbreaking. This is just lightening the atmosphere when sometimes we take ourselves a little bit too seriously. I just want to refer you to the Maya Angelou quote that hasn't saved on my slides, which is some people will make, and you don't often remember the people that made, you've said something, and I've forgotten the quote. What a brilliant quote. You know the Maya Angelou quote? Does anyone know the quote? Didn't come up on the slide. It's the people that make you feel something. It's the people that make you feel. It's not what you do. It's not what you say. So if you can make people smile, if you can make people laugh even better, just dare to have a go. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions?